guys! Welcome to my channel. At kung hindi ka pa subscribe sa aking channel, mag-subscribe ka na. At huwag kalimutan i-click ang notification bell para lagi kang updated sa aking mga upcoming videos. For today's video, pupunta tayo sa Fort Santiago in Intramuros where Dr. Rizal was imprisoned before his execution. Manila is a home of numerous historical sites and monuments that gives us a peek of our history. One symbol of the Philippine Revolution was the Andres Bonifacio Memorial Shrine, also known as the Kartilya ng Katipunan or Heroes Park, dedicated in remembrance of the Filipino revolutionary Andres Bonifacio and Katipunan's role in the Philippine Revolution. Built in 1963, the Lagusnilid pedestrian underpass, which connects Manila City Hall and Intramuros, is one of the oldest underpasses in the country. The highlight of the underpass is a giant art mural depicting the country's history with heroes from Lapu-Lapu to Andres Bonifacio and Jose Rizal. As you can see, there are photos of the city's famous landmarks: Luneta, Manila Cathedral, National Museum, and San Sebastian Basilica. Known as the Walled City, Intramuros is a place rich in history and culture. Intramuros, including Fort Santiago, was designated a National Historical Landmark in 1951. In between the walls of Intramuros is the mark that 300 years of Spanish rule have left in the form of grand churches and colonial houses. The best way to get a deeper understanding of the country's history is with a historic Intramuros walking tour. The Manila Cathedral was the first ever cathedral in the country. It has been through a lot but stands still and surely one of the best places to visit Manila. The cathedral was damaged and destroyed several times since the original structure was built in 1581, while the eighth and current structure of the cathedral was completed in 1958. Intramuros plays an important part to our country's history, and it is one of the popular destinations for a visitor to our hometown. With safety protocols in place, people can now visit Fort Santiago, Casa Manila Museum, and Baluarte de San Diego. Fort Santiago and Baluarte de San Diego will hold 100 people at a time. Casa Manila Museum will only have 15 people at a time and only up to 5 people in a group. Only visitors from 15 to 65 years old are allowed. Visitors are required to practice safety guidelines, which include wearing masks and face shields, physical distancing, practicing hand hygiene, and cough etiquette, and undergoing mandatory temperature screening and sanitizing protocols. They are also required to register on the staysafe.ph app before entering the sites. And now, we're here in Fort Santiago, a popular tourist attraction in the Philippines. Built in the late 1500s by the Spanish government during the colonization of Manila as part of Intramuros. One of the most famous names imprisoned here was Philippines national hero Dr. Jose Rizal before his execution. Plaza Moriones, located in front of the entrance to Fort Santiago. It was originally known as Plaza de la Fuerza, an empty lot which served as a military promenade for soldiers barracked. It served in this role before the fort was damaged in the 1863 earthquake that devastated Manila, after which it was converted into temporary military barracks. By 1875, the plaza was once again empty, and as early as 1898, the plaza was already called the Plaza del General Moriones, after Domingo Moriones y Murillo, who served as Governor General from 1877 to 1881. Fort Santiago Intramuros was also used during the World War II for formidable purposes. The Japanese kept soldiers and political prisoners in the dungeons to torture and execute. Fort Santiago, built in 1593 by Spanish navigator and Governor Miguel Lopez de Legazpi for the new established city of Manila in the Philippines. The defense fortress is located in Intramuros, the walled city of Manila. The fort was named after Saint James, Santiago in Spanish, the patron saint of Spain, who is also known as Saint James the Muslim Slayer, because of the legend that he miraculously appeared hundreds of years after his death to fight in the Battle of Clavijo, whose relief adorns the facade of the front gate. Medio Baluarte de San Francisco. This rampart was built to fortify the defenses of Fort Santiago from river and land attacks. Cannons facing outward were originally placed atop the defense wall. The old Fort Santiago was made of logs and earth and was destroyed in 1574 after the Chinese pirate Lin Feng Limahong launched an almost successful attack of Manila. The Spanish army repelled the attack, but realized it was too damp, so they rebuilt it in stone. The gate of Fort Santiago was built together with the military barracks in 1714. It was destroyed in the Battle of Manila in 1945. the Intramuros administration restored the gate in July 1982. Plaza de Armas. The traditional open grounds for military drills and parades within Fort Santiago. It is the central plaza of Fort Santiago, one of three major plazas in Intramuros, the others being the Central Plaza de Roma outside the fort grounds and Plaza Moriones. Currently, the plaza is an open green area surrounded by trees. At the western side of the plaza is the shrine of Jose Rizal, constructed in honor of Jose Rizal, who was imprisoned there prior to his execution in 1896, when the building was still being used as military barracks. The shrine includes a statue of Rizal, which was constructed at the center of the plaza. Raja Sulaiman Theater, one of the Fort Santiago's old military barracks, converted to an open-air theater after World War II. It is the birthplace of what was then the Philippine Educational Theater Association, or PETA. The open-air theater, which was the ruins of a former Spanish military barracks, was designed and conceptualized by Cecil Guidote Alvarez and carried out by noted Philippine architect Leandro Locsin. The inner court of the fort was apt for the theater in the round productions of the company, which is now housed in its own two-level theater in Quezon City. In the 1960s, the Philippine theater scene was heavily influenced by Western standards. All stage plays were performed in English, even those written by Filipinos, and performances that used the Filipino language were unheard of. Cecil Guidote Alvarez, who had prior experience in directing and producing television shows, questioned this. She knew that countries like Japan and France used their own language for the performing arts, and none of them felt the need for an English translation. She thought that a theater that spoke in its local language had a better way of connecting with its audiences. You have to draw meaning and power from the lives of the people, Guidote Alvarez said. It was really supposed to provide the country a mirror for who we are as a nation. Last Walk to Martyrdom. The Marker. Last Walk to Martyrdom Trail. A centennial freedom trail characterized by the shoe prints of Philippine national hero Dr. Jose Rizal, memorializes the path he took to Bagong Bayan from his cell in Fort Santiago. In the early hours of December 30, 1896, it symbolizes the birth of the Filipino nation. Postigo de la Nuestra Señora de Soledad. The fort occupants used this gate as a passage to the Pasig River. In 1762, Lieutenant Governor General Simon de Anda escaped here with part of the city's treasury and official documents as British soldiers captured the city. He fled to Pampanga, where he established himself as Governor General of the Philippines, while leading a resistance movement until the end of the British occupation in 1764. The White Cross. In memory of the victims at Fort Santiago. On this site lie the mortal remains of approximately 600 Filipinos. Their bodies were found inside a nearby dungeon were victims of atrocities perpetrated by the Japanese imperial forces were imprisoned during the last days of February 1945. The memory of all these unknown victims of Japanese atrocities will live forever in the hearts and minds of the Filipino people. The dungeons of Fort Santiago. During World War II, Fort Santiago was captured by the Japanese Imperial Army and used its prisons and dungeons, including the storage cells and gunpowder magazines, for hundreds of prisoners who were killed near the end of the war. The fort sustained heavy damage from American and Filipino military mortar shells during the Battle of Manila in February 1945. Also, approximately 600 American prisoners of war died of suffocation or hunger after being held in extremely tight quarters in the dungeons at Fort Santiago. Falsa Braga Media Naranja. Falsa Braga means false wall, while Media Naranja refers to its half-orange shape This rampart served as an additional layer of wall protecting the riverside of the Baluarte de Santa Barbara. History Fortress Learning Center. The facility is a Lego education center that aims to promote innovation, creativity, and love for Philippine heritage. The center was opened in 2018. Baluarte de Santa Barbara. Historically guarded the mouth of the Pasig River and served as the most strategic rampart of Fort Santiago. Cannons originally flanked the top, while its chambers served as storage for arms and gunpowder. The chambers have been recently converted as the iMaker History Fortress Learning Center. At dito na nga po natatapos ang ating Fort Santiago Tour Part 1. Sana po ay nagustuhan niyo po ang ating topic for today. Please don't forget to hit the like button at kung hindi ka pa nagsasubscribe sa aking channel, mag-subscribe ka na and don't forget to click the notification bell para lagi kang updated sa aking upcoming videos.